Chart analyst clearly believes that you're not thinking big enough when it comes to XRP price, and I definitely can't blame him for feeling that way. For over a decade now, people have been underestimating XRP consistently, even though it's one of the most useful coins ever created with absurdly strong fundamentals and utility. It's still, even today, being underestimated, despite the fact that since November, XRP has been the #1 performing coin out of the top 100 coins by market cap. People are still underestimating it. And a lot of it comes from the people that suffer from the affliction known as XRP derangement syndrome. So some people really just hate it, and therefore, bias clearly bleeds into what they say with their stupid little face holes. But I think a lot of people who are even pro XRP might not be thinking big enough. And it's okay to some degree. Admittedly, when it comes to XRP price expectations, I personally am more on the conservative side. But even I will acknowledge, even though I'm not expecting some of these higher targets that I see for this market cycle anyway, even I will acknowledge that they may be possible. Like there could be such money flowing into the entire crypto space that the people that are talking about over $30 XRP this market cycle, I don't think they're crazy. That could happen. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. So if they end up being right, and then you look at where the price of XRP is now at $3.03, that's a lot of upward price action, even from this point. And then considering that XRP had a cycle bottom at 28 cents in June, that would be just a completely glorious run. I don't know how you could possibly be disappointed unless you're one of the people buying the top in that situation. Because if you've been around the last few years and that thing runs anywhere even close to what some of these analysts are talking about, it's going to be seriously life-changing well. So I think the best is yet ahead. But before going further, I do want to be clear, it has been moving down a little bit over the last 24 hours. Here you can see XRP, 24-hour low earlier today, $3.01. 24-hour high, $3.12. Kind of similar story for Bitcoin. We're just in a range. We're not going to stay here much longer, though, and I'm going to give you a bunch of reasons why you should expect that. But here's Bitcoin at $115,361. And take a look at this post. Look, people who are new to crypto need to learn this, and people who have been around here for a while and don't get this yet, please let this sink in. There are certain things about investing in crypto that actually are conceptually quite simple. And so there was this post from Altcoin Gordon. He shared this with his 806,000 followers on X. And he wrote, buy charts that look like the one in the left. That's this screen. Okay. And then he shared another image and he said, sell when they look like the one in the right. And that's the one that's on the screen right now. Easy as that. And regarding this first one, what looked like that a year ago was XRP. What looked like that earlier this year was Ethereum. Because both coins had fallen dramatically on certain charts. I mean, XRP was still, even if you were looking at an XRP USD chart a year ago, it was like 40, 50 cents, depending on what time of the year you're talking about. It could be a little slightly higher. That was it. It looked disastrous, and XRP was declared to be dead. Same for Ethereum. It was declared to be dead. But that's actually where the opportunity is. So unless something had fundamentally changed for one of these coins, and it's very clear that was causing it to bleed out, it made no sense to think that the price was low, therefore the fundamentals were bad, therefore the price would never be higher. But that's what people's brains do. You miss the opportunity. And then it's hard. And then if you do start buying into it, it's hard for people because you're not going to buy the exact bottom. You don't know for sure where it bottoms. So then you buy, and then it goes down, and then even if you buy more, eventually you're going to start to feel stupid because it just keeps going down and you keep buying it. That's what markets do to you, though. That's where the opportunity is. But markets do ultimately go up, and then they look like this one. And it's fascinating to see. So you can argue, well, this looks closer to what XRP looks like now, right? Because it has gone up a lot, and that's true. We've seen multiple all-time highs, new all-time highs for XRP this year, hitting as high as $3.65. I would say not so fast. First of all, this thing's been artificially suppressed on the XRP USD chart for the better part of a decade, so the fact that it's broken up, that doesn't mean it's done. We haven't even had the full-blown euphoria at the end of this market cycle, which is coming. That's going to be where the ridiculous stuff happens. But if you want another chart to have it pertaining to XRP that should instill that level of confidence that it is coming, you just got to look at the XRP BTC chart, because the XRP BTC chart looks closer to this first one, where it hasn't even moved up hardly. I mean, so yes, XRP's moved up against Bitcoin since November. It is nowhere near the previous all-time high. There is so much room for XRP to run on the XRP BTC chart. And what that means for you, the United XRP USD chart is, I mean, I don't know exactly what the number be, but just way higher than what it is right now, unquestionably. And so it's a simple concept, but I'm glad that he shared this because it's true. And I wanted to share this to articulate what this means for XRP because it couldn't be more obvious. It was obvious to me a year ago that XRP, of course, was going to burst when the market goes because, duh, it was oversold. And what I'm telling you is that it's the same thing right now for the XRP BTC chart. That's why I wanted to take a minute to highlight this. It's still true. Even though XRP is around up against the dollar a lot, it's still true. There is so much more room to go here. And then there's this from Altcoin Gordon. This is just an Ethereum price chart, and he says, you are not bullish enough on ETH. And so you can see that ETH obviously it did look like garbage price against the dollar earlier. It got down to close to $1,400, maybe slightly higher, but it was around there. And what has happened since? New all-time high. We haven't seen a full-blown breakout from that level yet, but it did run up, didn't it? The cool thing is, like I said, it was true about XRP, it's true about ETH. Just because it ran up to that range, it doesn't mean that it's done. Just barely poking above an all-time high, which is effectively what XRP has done a few times this year. That doesn't mean the run's over, folks. And so here he's targeting for Ethereum over $8,000. That is not crazy. That's not even a twofold price increase from the last market cycle. So if XRP matches that market cap that Ethereum would be at $8,000, that would make each XRP worth over $16. So I'm telling you, it doesn't take that much for XRP to get up to those types of price levels. It really doesn't. So I don't pretend to know how high XRP will go this cycle. I'm very upfront about that. I don't make price predictions. That's not my shtick. But in terms of recognizing what could be reasonably possible, I'm happy to talk about that. And clearly that is $16 XRP. If that happens, we'll look back and then be like, yeah, wasn't crazy at all. And it doesn't mean it would necessarily have to stop there. Take a look at this post from popular chart analyst Alex Wasey with 190,000 followers here on X. This is an interesting pair. I haven't really seen anyone pull this up before that I could think of, but it's an interesting way of viewing the market. So what we've got here is the others chart, which is the top 125 coins by market cap, excluding the top 10 coins. So XRP is not in here, but it's still interesting because I'm telling you, if you've got the others chart moving, obviously XRP is ultimately going to be involved in the crypto asset class move. And the way that money rotates is it starts at Bitcoin, then large caps, and then mid caps, rinse and repeat. So yeah, of course XRP would be part of it. It's just not included in the others chart. But this is the others chart denominated in Ethereum. That's what this is. It's an others ETH chart. And what's fascinating here is what he noted. You're right here. Altcoins have never been this oversold. Not in 2021, not in 2023, not in 2024. Every time it ends the same, up only. And so you can see what he's highlighting here. Others, again, all those altcoins, have fallen against ETH, not surprisingly. And he's noting, and this starts going back several years, further than when Ether peaked last cycle. And you can see here, this is stochastic RSI at the bottom, lowest in history. Oversold, my friends. And what was I saying just a couple minutes ago? Markets find bottoms. When something is oversold, eventually that bad boy is going to go, unless something fundamentally shifted and it's actually going to go to zero. But that's clearly not the case here. Oversold. Okay, this thing is going to go. And it's just an interesting way of breaking this down, looking at an others ETH chart. So it's barely started to move up here. So beginning phases. And this is also why you have seen certain coins popping off. They're included in that bucket. That's why you're seeing that. I mean, like for even earlier today, I don't know if it kept running, but a couple hours or so ago, I was looking at Flare. Flare started running up out of nowhere. It was up like inside of 15 minutes. I noticed it was up like 7%, and then you look at the charts like vertical, so it may have come down since then. I'm not sure, but the point is there's all sorts of coins that have been popping off recently. It's so perfectly positioned. This thing's going to go. You had this post from chart analyst Mustache. This is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So the name of that chart, of course, is Total 2. And he says, wow, Total 2 is now breaking through the strongest resistance ever. Reaccumulation is finally done, and the parabolic curve should begin. I've been sharing this chart with you for months. Everything is going according to plan. That's the real deal right now. So he thinks that that's it. And I've seen tons of analysts talk about how, okay, reaccumulation done. We're starting to see it poke up. Total 2 and Total 3, as I highlighted just the other day, have hit new all-time highs. It couldn't be more obvious that what is most probable is some serious face-melting price action soon. And you know XRP is going to be a huge part of that. And like the idea of XRP having consolidated this long only to barely tap a new all-time high and then, okay, I'm done. I'm XRP and I'm done again. See you in a decade. I don't think so, folks. It's going to melt faces. That part hasn't happened yet, but it is going to. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard. This is the Total 3 chart, so it's the top 125 coins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And he says, warning, it's time. The time is coming. Don't you see it? 1,673 of sideways price action. He's talking days. And he says, price action in Total 3 is soon coming to an end. As many capitulate, it's on the cusp of an explosive breakout. Patience pays. It's not, and this is what I keep seeing from every analyst that I follow. It's like, yeah, this clearly is not done here. I mean, the real party hadn't even started yet. You know, as far as the fun, euphoric part of the market cycle that only happens at the tail end of every cycle, that is ahead. Here's a post from chart analyst Michael Vanderpop, and he shared this with his 807,000 followers on X here. It's great to see that we're having breakouts of altcoins already. And folks, when that starts to happen, that's a very good sign. And when it happens at a time where historically it's always happened in terms of market structure, yeah, you should be optimistic it's going to continue. And he says it's still relatively early stage, but given that we're seeing so much strength on several altcoins, it's going to be a great period. And by the way, I mean, there have even been larger coins that have already been broken up, not just breaking to the upside. It's not just XRP that's done great since the election. There are other coins that have done well recently, including actually Dogecoin. I know it's technically down in the last 24 hours, but it's moved up a lot. You've got Binance Coin at $926. Look at that. I mean, and it's already hit new all-time highs this cycle. There's all sorts of stuff going on here, folks. Then we got this. This is from chart analyst CW. He says the buy wall for XRP exists at $2.97. And he posted that this morning as XRP was down to its 24-hour low of $3.01. So just want to highlight that for some short-term price action. It makes it much less likely that it's going to fall through. Not that it can't. If the market goes down, XRP is a part of it. But there would be some serious support there in that range. And at least right now, XRP is living above that line. Here's another post from CW from the other day. This is literally yesterday. XRP USD on the screen here. It says, remember that the real rally for XRP comes after the all-time high breakout. It's getting closer. And I'll note, for those of you not looking at the screen here, he's got a take profit level at $21.50. So he is one of the analysts that firmly believes we're going to be seeing double-digit price action for XRP. That is not a crazy price target. I don't know if it will happen, but it ain't crazy. It definitely is not crazy. Here's a post from Chart Nerd. He's got similar mindset here. So he's predicting here XRP to $8, then $15, and then $27. He wrote, not an if, but a win. Well, I hope so. Again, none of that's, well, especially for $8. That's, can you imagine XRP not hitting $8 this cycle? The concept is so absurd, I have a hard time taking it seriously. So there are certain levels. Just like, come on. I mean, unless there's a black swan event. There's a black swan event, okay. But it's not like the whole market's going to go and then XRP just won't because of reasons. Clearly, it's the strongest coin since the November election out there, out of the top 100. Here's a post from Dark Defender. He says, XRP broke 2 cups since 2013. Number 1 was in 2017 by breaking the 4-year consolidation. Number 2 in 2025 by breaking the 8-year consolidation. XRP retested the cup top level. And so he thinks this thing's about to go here. Now, the reason it's 8 years, let's be realistic about this. It's a virtual certainty that last cycle, in 2021, XRP would have hit a new all-time high, but it was under attack from the SEC. So the only silver lining, if there is one, I suppose, is that other than we're way past that and XRP's got legal clarity, is that it did give people who wanted to accumulate additional time to accumulate XRP at much lower price levels than the market otherwise would have allowed. So you could look at it that way. But yeah, 8-year consolidation. I know it's crazy, but it's not our fault, and it is going to break out. It was the SEC. It was artificially suppressed. And I'm telling you, as great as it is to see XRP at this price level, this is a way lower price level than it would have been in 2025 if not for that attack by the SEC. So market's playing catch up. It absolutely still is, and that's another reason that I don't think it's remotely crazy to see some of these higher price levels. Like, for instance, the highest one that he's charting right here is $36 for XRP. So he's got other key levels, $5.85. He's been insistent about that. $18.22, and then $36.76. So we'll see what gets hit. It's if enough money flows into the space, yes. Now I'll tell you this: I am not counting on $36 XRP. I hope the people who think that's probable end up being correct. But again, even if you get half that, it's $18. Like, who wouldn't be thrilled with that? Again, the answer is people who buy the top. That's the actual answer right there. We're gonna go though. Then there was this post from Crypto Insight UK in which Party wrote XRP $4.20 inbound, and he thinks there's a possibility that we actually could be getting into that level of face melting price action. Because when you get there, I mean, that's the fun part of price discovery. XRP safely above the all-time high, $4.20, just a matter of time. Here's a post from chart analyst XR Punky. He says XRP been ranging sideways for 280 days since December. Looking at the chart, it's forming a massive inverse head and shoulder pattern. The next leg up should bring XRP to $5 to $8. And folks, that would be in the short term here. And I keep seeing this from analysts, an expectation that we're going to be moving much higher sooner rather than later. This I'm telling you, XRP is not done this market cycle. Here's a post from chart analyst Javon Marks. XRP's current target remains over 55% away at the $4.80 level. So again, that's not where he thinks this thing peaks. That's a short-term target. I keep seeing this from analysts. Here's a post from X-Force Global. XRP is still on track for $20 this cycle for both the primary and alternative idea. A new floor has been established for good. So yet another analyst who's calling for double-digit price action, in this case $20 XRP. And then we have this from chart analyst Steph's Crypto. XRP Bollinger Bands getting really tight. Buckle up. And every single time they've gotten tight, we've seen another massive break. It happened in 2024. You can see it started to open up, and you know what that meant. Eventually it got as tight as it was going to get, and then it went.